Hey, this was on my mind this morning, and I felt like sharing it here on YouTube about the survival mind. Your survival mind will have you going, doing, grinding towards something somewhere that you're not clear about, and it'll keep you stuck there. And the tricky part is that it makes you feel like you're making progress, you're moving, you're busy, you're handling it. But underneath it all, there is no clear destination, just a loop of constant reacting. And then you might ask, well, how do I know when I'm in my survival mind? Two ways to know. You'll know when you keep doing the thing and you're constantly asking why. And number two, you'll know if you start to feel anxious when you stop, even if it's just for a moment. It trains you to believe that you need to suppress how you really feel because being honest about these feelings often feels dangerous. So you normalize dishonesty. You talk in code, you mask it in silence, and then you start to come across as nonchalant or mysterious. And then ultimately you start distracting yourself with some future event. Or more commonly, everything becomes about what you're doing. When people ask how you're doing, you self-report. Everything becomes an activity log. Because naming what you really feel and what's really going on in your mind feels dangerous. But then on the flip side, you might say, well, I'm not lying, I'm not being dishonest. I just don't want to be a burden to anybody. But here's the twist. When you are withholding what you really feel, what's really going on in your mind, your body is registering that as dishonesty. Even if your intention isn't to deceive anyone. Silence feels like safety in the moment. But long term, it builds misunderstanding. And then people start to think that you don't care, and they interpret that as you being hard to read. When in reality, you were just scared to say the thing. For example, a friend may say something that may have hurt you, but then your survival mind will come in and say, well, just let it go. Don't make it weird. So you smile, you nod, you stay quiet. But then what you really want to say is being stewed on the inside. Then that stew becomes distance, resentment, and emotional shutdown. And then that paralyzing survival energy hijacks your aura. It shapes your entire presence, which means when you want to soften, there's often friction there. And you'll see it play out in small and often frustrating ways. You'll get a grounding phone call from someone and it just mysteriously drops. Or someone who is showing up to help you, but then their help starts to look like judgment. And then any sort of suggestion feels like an attack, a threat. Why? Because your survival mind is interpreting it as a threat. Even kindness can feel sharp when you're bracing yourself like this. Or you over-intellectualize things like there's some sort of to-do list, an activity log. You get defensive because your survival mind thinks that it's protecting you. And you might justify this by asking, well, but isn't being defensive standing up for myself, Joseph? Sometimes yes. But many other times, it's your survival mind saying, well, if I push everybody away, then I'll feel safe. And then what you do is you push yourself into isolation, but isolation isn't the problem. It's what you're doing in isolation that will be the problem. And you're doing only one of two things in isolation. You are either self-protecting or self-connecting. Self-connecting is being empowered in your response before, during, and after things flare up. But when you are self-protecting, you aren't being proactive in your response or empowered in your response before, during, and after things flare up. And so as a result, cognitive dissonance sets in. Meaning you start thinking things like, I should feel grateful, but why am I so tense? Or they didn't mean any harm, but why is this so painful? And so that confusion keeps you in survival mode because now you are gaslighting your nervous system. But the truth is, you can meet yourself at any given moment in that pressure and unapologetically stop and slow down. This doesn't mean abruptly quit your job or ignore your responsibilities. Slowing down has nothing to do with laziness and irresponsibility. It's for reclaiming a centered and regulated nervous system before you take the next best practical step. Because the rush, the panic, the anxiety, it's usually you trying to get somewhere that you are not clear about. Your nervous system doesn't feel regulated about. Or you are in some future fantasy about something that's not even guaranteed. Bring yourself back to this right now moment. As you are hearing my voice right now, breathe. Soften yourself and admit what's really scaring you. I know some of you are asking, well, what does softening myself look like? What does all of this look like? Pay attention to your body. It could mean in this very moment that your jaw is clenched. Unclench your jaw. It could mean your breath is shallow. Breathe deeply. And using your voice, say aloud in this very moment, I'm scared I'll fail. Instead of pretending you're just tired. And the second you do that, you change the atmosphere that your survival mind manufactured. You see the twist here? Your survival mind created the conditions to come in and act as your savior to protect you from the conditions it created. But you get to change how you sound, how you write, how you show up for yourself, even when you don't feel your best. And then the people outside of you begin to respond differently. Not because they changed first, but because you did. No one else can do this for you. You have to do it. You have to use your voice, your words. Because when you don't do this, then silence becomes your story. Misunderstanding becomes your identity. And you end up living a life that's being narrated by your fear. And so each time you use your voice in your way and being honest about that, you are surrendering to the fear narrative. And surrendering does not mean giving up. It means integrating the fear, looking at it, humanizing it. That's how you take your power back in real time. That's how you gain the clarity. Instead of being pressured by the atmosphere and the survival mind, you put pressure on it. And I know you're asking, well, what does that even mean to put pressure on the survival mind, to put pressure on the things that scare me? It means using your voice to call out the lie that your survival mode has been telling you. You can't stop or you're going to lose everything. You got to push a little bit more harder even when you are running out of energy. Your job is to challenge that. It means setting a very clear boundary with those that drain you instead of endlessly avoiding conflict. And so basically what this all means is that you are getting better at naming the fear out loud so that it can't control you in the dark. I think that's it for right now. So, if this expanded your awareness, uplifted you and inspired you in any kind of way, only if, and you're new here or you're returning, please subscribe, please like, please comment, please share, because these messages and what I'm sharing here is for the climate right now, is for those who are in this icky in-between space. And if you feel like this definitely could help someone else the way that it's helping you, then let's keep expanding the conversation, keep expanding the awareness. And in the meantime, in between time, be kind to your mind, be gentle with your heart, your nervous system, and your body, and make the best of this right now moment and the right now moments to come.